Hello and welcome to the Be Your Own podcast. I'm your host, Samana Duran, and founder of Be Your Own, the global media hub of all things entrepreneurship and career navigation. As you know, this podcast is all about highlighting incredible women out there doing awesome things. Now, today's episode ties in really nicely with our sponsors, but before I introduce you to our next guest, I'd like to say a massive thank you to our podcast sponsors, Dame, the brand on a mission to make our periods plastic free. Dame launched their first reusable tampon applicator to save the oceans from the 1.3 billion tampon applicators thrown away every year. Dame reusable applicator, the D, gives women a more sustainable choice, all the comfort of an applicator, but without the waste. We've tried it ourselves, and hand on heart, it's the kind of game-changing product that can make a big difference to the planet. You can visit Dame's website, wearedame.co, to find out more about their reusable applicator and organ tampon subscriptions. That's wearedame.co. And now, on to the show. Today's guest, Celia Pool, is the co-founder of Dame, a brand rethinking personal care by reducing its environmental footprint without having to compromise on either performance or design. They are also tackling the massive problem of plastic waste caused by feminine hygiene products and are really working incredibly hard to reduce the amount of landfill. If you are following me on social media, you'd know that I'm a huge fan of this brand. I really love their mission, their objectives, and their ethos in general. So it gives me the ultimate pleasure of having the co-founder behind Dame, Celia, as a Be Your Own podcast guest. Hi Celia, thank you so much for joining us today on the Be Your Own podcast. I am utterly privileged and so honoured today to have you as a guest on our show. So can you tell us a little bit more about the Dame mission? Because I am absolutely in love with your brand, but some people still haven't heard about Dame and what you're doing, and also a little bit about yourself as a co-founder as well.
Yes, my name is Celia Pool. I am the co-founder of Dame, and Dame launched the world's first reusable tampon applicator to clear up the masses of plastic waste that happens in this industry that people don't really think about.
Well, that was short and sweet. Okay, have you had any interesting things happen this week or in this past few days?
Yeah, a definite sort of, a difficult week last week. I had like a meltdown last week where, right now I'm locking down with my kids. I've got a baby. I've got my work. Everyone is finding this right now where your neat compartmentalized lives, where, your work was in one bit, kids are in another bit, everything else has all come crashing together. And I'm definitely feeling that right now and felt it last week. But this weekend really just managed to kind of take some time out to just be silly and have fun with my children, go for a walk with them, really sort of get back to basics. And that was sort of really strengthening for me.
I think everyone's just really feeling the effects of this COVID-19 pandemic, lockdown, post-lockdown. We don't know when the next lockdown's going to be. So navigating around it is just really, really difficult, I think, for everyone right now. Let's talk about what incentivized the launch of Dame and how the whole story came about, because having read your backstory, I understand that you co-founded this with your partner Alex on your kitchen floor.
I mean, I never grew up dreaming of selling tampons. That definitely wasn't something that I'd always longed to be. But it kind of came about because after the birth of my first child, I think it was such an almighty shock for me that I suddenly thought, okay, right, what do I want to do with my life after this? Because I know that I don't want to carry on doing what I was before, but I know that I want to do something. And I knew I wanted to do something very sort of female-centric, female-focused. I've always been sort of a massive feminist, and I knew I wanted to do something in that area, but I didn't know what. And I'd never, ever seen myself as an entrepreneur. I'm literally not your classic entrepreneur profile. I'm not that kind of positive, blue skies, anything's possible kind of person. I worry, I think about the details. And one of the other big things that had happened to me also around the time of having my first child was I'd really suddenly become aware of all the waste that I was creating. I found it so fascinating that being stuck inside with a newborn baby, you're no longer dropping off your rubbish in sort of multiple bins around London. Suddenly you really clearly get to see how much rubbish you're making yourself. And I remember that being a really big shock to me. And that obviously sort of stuck with me a bit. And then what happened was, I, over like a classic sort of drunken conversation with a friend of mine, suddenly started talking about, what's the difference between having a baby and not having a baby. He was a bit younger than me. And I said, well, it's the little things. It's, like the fact today I had just done like a big shop and came back and realized I'd forgotten my tampons. I got my period. And it's not as easy when you've got a tiny baby to run out to the shops. And so, I had to strap my daughter to my chest, run out in the rain and go and buy some tampons. And this was sort of quite a few years ago now. And we were like, well, this is insane. Why isn't there some kind of delivery service for this, in the UK? And there really wasn't at that point. So we decided to set one up, and it was all around convenience and choice in this area. And really also offering women a better messaging around the subject, because, up until that time, it's been pretty horrible, the kind of way that we're talked to. Very, very subtle. All these things around, discretion and needing to be fresh on your period and all these things, which when you say them to a young girl is quite a lot. So we basically set out on this journey. We started off doing a bit of a different kind of business, did that classic thing where you realize actually this isn't what you want to do, you want to shift it. And we pivoted because we suddenly realized that the majority of the period products that are out there right now are filled with plastic, filled with chemicals, and are really branded and packaged horribly to women. And so that's what we wanted to do. And the first thing that we wanted to go after was tampon applicators, because, they're frankly unnecessary. They're so necessary for women, but unnecessary for the planet. When you think sort of there are, on average, a woman uses 12,000 of these in her lifetime. They touch your body for about 2 seconds, and then they're just dumped in a bin. And yeah, that's where we started. And we decided at the same time we wanted to not only fix the applicator, but we wanted to fix the tampons as well. And for us, that meant using organic cotton only, 100% organic cotton, and really take it off from there.
You've been crowdfunded by 5,000 women and men in 53 different countries. So from Kickstarter to now 3 nationwide supermarket listings. Who are they, by the way? Where are you currently stocked?
So we're currently stocked in Waitrose, Boots and Sainsbury's.
Wow, awesome. How else has Dame been funded then? And are you looking at raising any more funding in the future?
Yeah, so the Kickstarter campaign was amazing. It was something where we were just 2 people. We had an idea to do a reusable tampon applicator, which frankly, every time we said to a friend, they all sort of either looked at us in horror or laughed. And we thought, okay, well, how are we actually going to fund this thing? How are we even going to prove that anyone wants it? And Kickstarter is an amazing place to do that if you've got a world-first product, because you go out there, you put your project there and you say, look, well, do you believe in this? And do you believe it enough to put your money down to buy one and essentially do a pre-order? And that was incredible for us, because not only did it show us that there were people out there, and quite a lot of people out there who wanted this, but it also showed us that you get these advocates, you get these people who back you and follow you along your journey. And that's been incredible. And Kickstarter definitely has been one part of our funding journey. We've also had investment from angels as well, some really amazing angels. And it's a funny one, because for us, investment in a female-led product by a female founder is really, really difficult, because you're essentially going out to most angel investors who, someone told me, male, pale and stale. So, these are all men in their sort of 50s, 60s who haven't really talked about tampons probably since maybe they once saw their daughter buy one. And trying to pitch a product like that is difficult. But we were really lucky in the fact that we got both men and women on board and who have really backed us all the way. And I think everyone gets the fact that, this rubbish problem isn't one sex, it's everyone. We're all going to have to deal with it. So therefore, the more that companies can come out with new solutions where we are reusing things and reducing the amount that we're buying, the better.
Who else is behind the team, and what does the company structure look like?
So we're still a sort of fairly small team. For the first year since we launched last year, we were 5 people. We've since grown and we're now 8 people, which is really exciting. But at the same time, you know, we've got a lot that we need to do, and doing all the work that we did on 5 people was really tough. And it's amazing now that we've got some brilliant people who come in to help us with such good experience from all different places. And that's been really interesting insight and a real gear shift for the business, because now, you know, we have people with deep knowledge of where we want to take this to, really coming in and giving good input. So it's been absolutely amazing for us.
What's your advice on finding really great key hires then? I think for many startups, and even still myself included, it's really difficult to find great people to really invest your time in. It's not always about the money aspect. It's just knowing where to place your energy on finding someone that you can really rely on and trust to join your team and help grow your business to where you want it to be.
It's a really difficult thing as well, because at the very, very beginning, you know, who wants to come and join a company of 2 where it all seems very risky and very unknown? And I think those first key hires are amazing. And you do sort of have to view them as, you know, really part of the core team and people who you really trust and want to get on with. And we were really lucky that we found incredible people. And I think that going out and really spending that time on those first people is really important. And I think going forward as well with those first people is always hire people who are better than you, because that's what will make a better team. Like, everyone on our team is better than we are. They're so much better than we are. And that really brings this new momentum and this new drive and dynamism to the team.
Very valid point, actually. So what does a typical day look like for you and your team then? Does your team usually work from home? Are they remote usually? Do you have an office space?
We did have an office space, which we're now not in. Everyone's working remotely.
Oh, okay.
And that's been really interesting, because a lot of the team had just started a few weeks before lockdown happened. So we're not only working remotely for the first time, but we're also getting to know each other, which has been really interesting. But yeah, I mean, a typical day for me right now is a multitude of managing both kids and washing and cooking and cleaning and work. But work in itself, you know, being a founder, you're doing so many different things. You know, at one point you're speaking to medical engineers who are helping you fix various things that are going on with the product. You're speaking to your suppliers, you're speaking to your buyers, your retailers, you're working out decisions on what kind of packaging is going to happen. You're speaking to investors at the same point. So it really is a very spinning plates, juggling different balls kind of job, which is amazing until you sort of forget which one you're doing, or your child walks in on a Zoom call, which basically happens to me every single day right now.
How many children have you got?
I've got 3. They're called Marina, Felix and Tobin.
Just want to be part of the journey.
Yeah, they very much do. The tampons was sort of one of their first words.
Well, I guess it could be worse. What impact are you having at Dame?
It's been amazing. Actually, we did an impact report, which for a really small company to do after the 12 months of being around, it's quite a lot. Because what we did is we went and looked through every single aspect of our business, all the different part of our supply chain, everything that we put in and everything that we're getting out. We're a B Corp. And for anyone who's not familiar what a B Corp is this new type of certification, which is all around business as a force for good. So it's saying that I don't just value profit, I value profit, people and planet. So everything that we do has to apply to all of that. And for us, it was really important that after 12 months of being around, we really wanted to go back and really see what we've done. And we have saved millions of pieces of plastic from going either in the ocean or into landfill. We have made sure that homeless people come in and help us pack our sample packs of tampons, because we'd rather give that work to someone who really needs it than than potentially other people who have more of a cushion around them. We use a female empowerment program in India to help make our pouches. And we're actually about to start using a similar kind of program in the UK to do that as well. For us, it's all about kind of never taking the easy route. It's taking a route which we know we can sort of sit comfortably with. Now, from a business perspective, that does kill us a lot because it means that it's never the cheapest route. But I think it definitely makes all our decisions a lot easier because we know that what we're trying to do genuinely has to affect change. So with our tampons, with our applicator, with our packaging, with our messaging, everything, we're really trying to do the best we can for it.
I know you mentioned earlier that getting investors on board to see your vision was particularly quite challenging, but putting that aside, what other challenges and other barriers have you been faced with, and how did you overcome them?
God, I mean, running your own business, you literally, every single day, it feels like that there's some kind of hurdle or challenge to go over. And I've always find it such a kind of fascinating exercise to go back over my emails about 6 months ago and see what completely different things I was dealing with then to what I'm dealing with now. I think for me, one of the big things was when we decided that we wanted to pivot the business. So previously, the business had been a subscription service that was selling other brands of products. And then when we decided that we just couldn't believe in the products that we were selling, that we wanted to create our own and create this reusable tampon applicator, making that decision to pivot was really difficult because it's not a eureka moment. It's not an overnight decision. There are so many different things that you have to think about. And I remember being at points very unsure. And I had one point where I went and had a coffee with this person who I viewed as a sort of mentor. And I really trusted his opinion and spent like an hour and a half talking him through everything. And at the very end, I sort of asked the probably quite stupid but fateful question, do you think I should do this? And his answer that came back was, no, I don't actually. I don't think you should do it. And I remember walking out of the cafe and just thinking, oh God, I shouldn't do it. I shouldn't do it. And then walking a bit further and thinking, no, do you know what? I'll be really, really cross with myself if I don't at least get it to the next stage, which at that point was getting it to the Kickstarter stage.
Yeah.
If I don't get it to the next stage and I don't at least try, I will kick myself for not putting that goal there. And that for me was a really big lesson in that you do need to go out and ask for advice, and you do need to really have other people out there as a sounding board, but at the same time you always really need to listen to your gut.
Thank goodness you never listened to him. Okay, business plans. Yes for business plans, no for business plans. What do you think about business plans?
No, I mean, every time we write a plan, we always realise that within about sort of a month, it's going to be very different. I mean, for us, like, it's funny because we've been, ever since we launched this reusable applicator, we've had the most amazing reaction to it, not just in this country, but around the world. And we seem to get the most incredible opportunities that are offered to us. All these retailers that we're in right now and other ones which we'll soon to be launching in, all of them have come to us wanting to stock the product, which the sort of two people who didn't really know what they were doing has been amazing. And, likewise, we've suddenly found out that Emma Watson is a customer of ours and posted about us to her 52 million Instagram followers. So for us to put plans in place for the next 3 to 5 years of exactly how and what we're going to do is we realize it's always difficult because there's always going to be these amazing things that pop up and at the same time massive challenges. But I think for us, our main goal is to improve the world for women. And by that, we want to create period products for the planet to make sure that everyone in the world has access to a sustainable period product. And, that's not a small goal. It's very hefty. And we've started off by doing tampons, but we've got so much more to go because, not every woman in the world, as everyone knows, wants to put something inside her body when she has her period. Many women want to wear something external. And also there's every woman's body is different. So there are many, many different products and many different solutions that are needed. So our mission for Dame is to improve the world for women. And the way that we're going to do that is making period products for the planet. So that's meaning that every woman in the world gets access to a sustainable period product. And that's not a small challenge. That's really, really big. And we're already making inroads into it in the UK, but we've got a lot more that we want to do. And for us, we want to do it in a meaningful way that connects with our customers, that connects with the people who work with us, and that connects with the planet. And I think as much as we like to put our goals in for the next 3 to 5 years, we just quite often have to kind of stick our fingers over our eyes, start running and jump into it.
If you had one last big ask, what would it be for our audience today?
I think the big thing for everyone is we're providing a choice. And we're trying to provide a choice that's as simple as possible. Like, I'm a mother, I know how difficult it is to be completely sustainable. It's really tough. So we wanted to offer women a really, really simple solution. And I guess the kind of ask out there is for everyone to kind of think about all those little changes that they can make, which have actually a relatively small impact in their life, but have such a massive impact to the world. And not just the planet and waste, but the people who are creating and making those products. It's a very small ask, but it has such big repercussions.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is a very small ask. However, if everybody was to just contribute to their own little bit, I think gradually over time we'd be able to look back and reflect on the changes that have been implemented and see the difference that it's really truly made to our environment. Celia, I've really enjoyed this chat today. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast to talk more about why you believe your mission is so important and why environmentally it matters to protect the planet's resources as much as possible. I'm already part of the Dame community, having tried many of your products before.
Oh my God, total pleasure. Well, listen, we'd love to send you more tampons if you want. So I'll get Essence to be in touch.
Wonderful. Well, that was the lovely Celia there from Dame as the co-founder. I think it really is so important for especially the new generation coming through to see that brands can be built ethically and sustainably. If you want to find out a little bit more about Dame and what it is that they do and how you can support their mission, follow them on Instagram and Twitter at Dame for Good. Thank you so much for listening. Please let us know what you think of the show. Don't forget you can find us on both Instagram and Twitter at BEYOUROWN UK. Our email address is beyourown@beyourown.org, so make use of it and drop us an email with anything that you want to know. If you fancy reading pretty much all of the career navigation stuff we talk about here on the podcast, then head over to beyourown.org for exclusive content, interviews, tools and resources. And lastly, if you love the show, subscribe to us wherever you get your podcast, either on Stitcher, iTunes or Spotify. And that's it from me. See you next time.